amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much and remember blessed. Whenever you look my video, whenever you watch my video, share the video to all platforms. Share it to family and friends. Share it in your WhatsApp group so that people can get information on what is happening in the contraption called Nigeria, mainly against the Biafrans, against the Duduas, against the indigenous people in the contraption called Nigeria. I try as much as possible to set the record straight. I don't preach hate speech. I don't speak against people. I set the record straight. The only important thing I do here is to make sure that the plight of the people remains on the front burner and the world will know the true story of what is going on in the contraption called Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much for remaining with us. Like we said, we still have our guests here joining us via Zoom. Dr. Pedro Obaseki is still with us. You just heard him. And also Dr. Sam Amadi. Dr. Amadi, I'll have to start from you. You have listened to the arithmetic of zoning according to Don Pedro Obaseki. Now, we want to take a look. I'll ask the question from the angle of the Constitution that a lot of persons have been quoting. From the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Section 14, subsection 3 is still there. And people have been quoting its federal character and all that. Then, from the party angle, which is the PDP Constitution, Section 7, subsection 3C is quite there. Let me just quickly read that of the PDP Constitution, because that's the shortest that I can get now. It says, and I quote, adhering to the policy of the rotation and zoning of party and public elective offices in pursuance of the principle of equity, justice, and fairness. That is the quote. Equity, justice, and fairness. Now, the key words there are equity, justice, and fairness. So what do you think now, taking a look at it from the angle of the Constitution, that a lot of persons have been saying the PDP, even the national chairman said it has been their history to zone, and they know how they do it. So what do you think at this moment should be best for the party?
I think first it should be very clear that the Constitution of Nigeria does not prescribe or prohibit zoning. Basically, Section 18 does not require that there should be zoning. Neither does it recruit parties to adopt zoning. But the section rather prescribes and requires power rotation, or if you like the other way, requires shared power. It says every aspect of the national public service, none should be dominated by persons of one ethnic, religious, or social. So the constitutional premise arising from the commitment to fairness and justice for all Nigerians, commitment to equality, is that there shall be no dominance by any social. So as much as possible, it prescribes sharing, inclusion, and broad spray. So, for example, the Constitution does not require you to, even if you zone, you can never zone the presidency to a zone and they will populate everything from vice president to president to ministers to ministers and personal heads. No, there must be inclusion and shared power. That's what the Constitution says. Now, the PDP Constitution clearly talks about rotation. And maybe don't forget that this, by 1993, 95, and thereabout, Abacha had prescribed, or Abacha, inchoate constitution, prescribed rotational presidency. In fact, it prescribed shared presidency and gave about 20 years by which all the ethnic groups and regions would have had a go at the presidency. It prescribes also multiple vice presidents. So the idea that the Abacha Constitutional Conference probably was how to stabilize a multi-ethnic polity and what we call constitutionalism, meaning a system of government where you negotiate power and share power to create stability. So I think that's the vision that PDP also caught on and prescribed rotation and zoning. the arithmetic that my brother Pedro Obaseki put out is arithmetically unchallengeable, because, I mean, those are facts that within PDP, the South had produced more presidents, Obasanjo and Jonathan, and the North has produced one that had only 2 years, had a truncated tenure. So invariably, within PDP, South had done more than North. But again, if you move away from the party and look at the bigger picture of Nigeria, what you see therefore is, of course, that the South has done more than the North, which is 8 years as against 8 plus 2, which is, or 10 years if everybody concludes, as against 6 or 5 or 7 months plus 10, which is roughly 14 years. So the North has done 10 years after Buhari, and then the South has done more than the North. Again, people argue as well, if you extend it to military rule, military leadership of military, well, some people have argued that maybe the North has more. So there are complex arguments to make. But what is clear here is this. I take the view that a normal politics requires open content, which means that a political system is designed to allow anybody to contest. And when they win, government has to be shared, both in other positions to create a balance. But again, I take the view also that zoning that makes sense from a democratic theory point of view is those zoning seen as affirmative action, which means that political leaders recognize a crisis, maybe of confidence, of social trust, or development, or exclusion, notable exclusion, that a particular people have been notably excluded. And so there could be a consensus ad hoc for the time being, respond to that crisis to say that we're going to zone our presidency to this zone that has not had it for the express purpose of reconnecting them back to power, or purpose of mitigating or redeeming a clear, exclusion. From that perspective, I've argued that the people who ought to have the shot should be the Southeast. If you see zoning as affirmative action, responding to a extraordinary situation of exclusion or of suppression or whatever it is. Just like President Biden says, I'm going to appoint a black woman, a woman, because of the crisis, the fact that no woman, there's a black, but there's no woman. So my argument has been, if the PDP or any party feels that it has to zone, then there must be a logic for that zone. The logic here would be the logic of deprivation, exclusion, church to South. Now, I don't see, I mentioned that, I don't see any merit for a South zoning to the South as a block in PDP. Because numerically, the South had more time than the North in PDP. Numerical as well. The South has had more time at the presidency than the North. In the general sense, the South has had more than the North. So the argument of just fairness and equity has to be concretized in a sense of affirmative action. Like in 1999, by the way, in 1999, it was not zoned to the South. It was zoned to the Southwest Yoruba, because somebody like Ogbonnaya on APP in the merger had to step down for the fire. The former governor of Anambra, was the AD candidate, had to be stepped down because the nation recognized an extraordinary need to appease the Southwest. And that's why just a few days, Ekweme was defeated by Obasanjo. So my view is that the North-South entrenchment of zoning does not make sense to me as a matter of justice, does not make sense in a functional sense, because North and South is too diverse to be a functional distinction. North and South, and we have 6 geopolitical zones. So if you want to zone, they have to zone to respond to the diversity of those that the 6 political zones capture.
Okay.
The PDP constitution, the one I've seen, didn't talk about North and South. It talked about rotation and zoning among the zones to respond to peculiarities of politics, of history. North-South zoning does not respond to that peculiarity.
All right,
and therefore, I agree with Obaseki that arithmetically, within PDP, South has no injustice that suffered in terms of presidential power.
Okay.
But within the context of the whole picture, the Southeast should be the zone for an affirmative action related zoning.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's better to have the free contest.
All right. Let me go to Don Pedro. Yes. Don Pedro, we just saw your arithmetic of zoning, whether for the PDP or the Nigeria as a whole. But if you take a look at the PDP constitution, there are 3 key words that is spelled out there. When you talk about equity, then the arithmetic will come. 10 years of the North, 14 years of the South, then the equity there will be questioned. When you talk about justice, you take a look at the constitution, as well as what is the PDP constitution saying about rotation. And you talk about fairness. That's when Doctor says, for affirmative action, the zoning may want to go to the Southeast. But Doctor did not also mention that people from the Northeast have not even tested power before, as well as those from the North Central. Since 1999, have not had opportunity to be in power. So who do we give affirmative to? Because
okay.
There are notable exclusions.
I just want to quickly say...
Yes.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm hearing the question sparingly, but I heard everything that Dr. Sam Amadi said, and I'm very happy. You see, the truth of the matter is, I'm actually, by tomorrow, I should come up with another video, because people have come up with emotional outbursts, wondering why did Nigeria start in 1999? Why did you restrict yourself to 1999? And when you go back to 1960, it reaffirms the argument of Sam Amadi. And that argument, however, is not for the Southeast alone, but for the Southeast and the Northeast. Nigerians we've not really been akin to romancing with our history. And that is one of the failings of the whole government of this country in the education paradigms that we have faced. The truth of the matter is, I will start from the beginning. Section 14.3 of the 1999 Constitution, as you've quoted, Section 18, which also talked about federal character, then Article 7.2c and 13.24 of the PDP Constitution is what brought out equity, justice, and fairness. And I should have that thing in my head, because in 2020, I was almost killed because I did a documentary titled "To Zone or Not to Zone." And that documentary was to beg the PDP not to allow Jonathan to run. Because if he runs, he will jettison the entire matrix of zoning. He said, in pursuance of the principle of equity, justice, and fairness, the party shall adhere to the policy of rotation and zoning of its party offices and public elective offices. And then to use the word, it shall be enforced by the appropriate executive committees at all levels. Unquote. It's in my head. But that was jettisoned. That is why we have this terrible lacuna. That is the truth. Now, if you look at it, there is no North zone in Nigeria. There is no South zone. Sam just said so. The North and both the South are large, humongous coalitions of 3 zones per North, 3 zones in the South. So if you look at it zone by zone, and you extend it to 1960, you will be shocked what you will find. What will you find? That in 1960, Nnamdi Azikiwe, as Commander-in-Chief and Head of State, as Governor General and later President in 1963, which was largely a ceremonial position, and then Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, who was there for five years and I think 5 years and about 8 months, because 5 years and about 3 months, 5 years, 3 months and a couple of weeks, because in October 1965, they completed 5 years. 3 months later, they were removed in January 1966. That was the last time that the Northeast ever smelt the Nigerian presidency. This is a fact. Another fact is that after that, the first military coup that was held, the first military president was Johnson Umunaku Aguiyi-Ironsi, a man from present-day Abia State. And by July 1966, he was thrown out of office in one of the most dastardly military coups Nigeria has ever seen. Ever since, a period of between 56 and 57 years, where men today who are almost grandfathers, we are yet to be born. Both the Northeast and the Southeast have never produced a president. Maybe there is a problem with the word East in the thing. Many Nigerians don't know. That is the only thing that might disqualify the North Central, because the North Central has produced the largest amount of military dictators in Nigeria. They have ruled us for 18 years. From July 1966 to July 1975, Jack Yakubu Gowon, a man from Plateau State, North Central. The next one was Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, a man from Niger State, North Central. 8 years exactly, 27th of August 1985 to 27th of August when he stepped aside, 1993. And then the last one, just a week away from being 1 year, is Abdulsalami Abubakar. Altogether 18 years. The Northwest must be the one that cannot produce a president again in Nigeria for the next 24 years. They've ruled us for 22 years of our existence. Both whether it's a Shagari, whether it's military or civilian. They started with Murtala Muhammad's 1 year from July 1975 to February 13, 1976. And from there, Buhari from 1985 to 1983. From there, we had Shagari. Before then, we had Shagari. From there, we've had all the elected positions of presidency in Nigeria who are of northern extraction, or elected presidents of the north, have all come from just 3 states. Katsina, Yaradua, Katsina, Buhari, Sokoto, Shagari. So those are facts. So if you look at it from the geopolitical arrangement as suggested by Alex Ekweme and Dumegu Ojukwu at that constitutional conference of Sani Abacha that gave birth to these 6 geopolitical zones, you will realize that there is a clear, even if it is not wittingly done, marginalization of persons of northeastern extraction. Those are the 6 states of Gombe, Bauchi, Adamawa, Taraba, Borno, and Yobe, or the 5 states of the southeast, Abia, Imo, Enugu, Anambra, and Ebonyi. So those are the ones who have the right to claim pole position if it should be zoned. But as an academic, zoning is actually a stifling of competition, a stifling of innovation, and picking from all of us a few. So I said in the worst case scenario, so that the PDP doesn't implode as a result of the humorous contending factors and persons, just throw it open. Let everybody have a go. It's different from the APC. The APC has a clear-cut commitment to hand over its party ticket to a Sultana. The PDP had done that years before the APC was even born. The APC is a child of circumstance, almost like a mottling together or a contraption of variegating pieces that have little or nothing in common. So that is what they are contending with. The CPCs of this world, the ASTNs of this world, the AMPPs, and so on. I remember in 2007, I was in that Ego Square when everybody thought that in pole position was Peter Odili. Everybody came there to vote Peter Odili, and everybody left there voting Yaradua. I still remember the memo that was said to have been written by Tony Aneni over the same zoning issue, where he stated clearly that by virtue of the PDP constitution, there was no room for them to allow someone else to contest. And that was as a result of what had happened in 1998 in JOS, the JOS Convention. They even refunded the money of Abubakar Rimi, and the person that contested were General Olusegun Obasanjo, Alabo Graham Douglas, Don Etiebet, Alex Ekweme, and Jim Wombodo. And what he said now, what Sam said, in spite of the fact that there was the South, it was specifically microzoned to the Southwest. There's nothing stopping the PDP from microzoning as they did before, because it is in their history. As a lawyer, it is either about what is in the law or you talk about precedence. So by precedence, the PDP had zoned to the South and microzoned to the Southwest. There is nothing wrong with them saying, okay, we are microzoning only to the Southwest, to the Southeast and the Northeast, because both of them are trapped in this lacuna. The only advantage the Southeast has is that the Southeast own is extended less than 7 months, because a Southeasterner, Aguiyi Ironsi, was the principal beneficiary of the overthrow of a Northeasterner, Tafawa Balewa, who was head of government business. And in terms of optics, the president or head of state was a Southeasterner. But ever since January 1966, and July 1966, the Northeast and the Southeast have never smelled Nigeria's presidency.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll come back.
The South also had the problem, because we also never smelled the presidency. But it would be crazy for us now to start talking about that. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we need to go for... I can't hear you, Oma. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes, you will get to hear me. We need to go for a short break now. We have a lineup of some stories to take. We'll just take them, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the best option for the main opposition, People's Democratic Party, ahead of their party primaries. Let's quickly let you know that the new national chairman of the APC has resumed.
Something is looking to me extremely strange. Nothing happens without knowledge of God. Nothing happens without knowledge of God. But somewhere, something tells me there's something happening about Nigeria, our politics, our economy, because the timing of some of these events are becoming a bit disturbing, and we are not going to just take a corner and start crying. We will have to face this situation a little more squarely. At the moment, the attention is on terrorists.
Wow. The new national chairman of the APC talking about the economy. The attention is on terrorists, but something is wrong with the economy too. I like that. When talking about terrorists, we've had serious issues in Nigeria in the last 48 hours. And many have been talking on the attack in Kaduna, the train attack in Kaduna, between Lake Abuja and Kaduna Expressway. So let's quickly go to what the National Assembly has to say about this.
As we were moving, so we just had as in the train just marched, as in, I don't know if it's bomb or something. So all of a sudden the train just moved from its normal route. Then we just started hearing gunshots from nowhere all over. Before you know it, they have even break the train's door and they even entered. So they started abducting people, 18, 19, 20. They were young guys. Yeah, they were young guys, and they were look like Fulani. Oh, they are not Fulani, real Fulanis, but I don't think they are Nigerians. Me, I thought it was a dream safe, because I did not even believe all what is happening until I saw myself at the hospital.
I just give up. I just give up, because I know that definitely two things is going to happen. Either I should die or they will carry me. That's what comes to my mind. When they carry people, after 15 minutes, they just come back again. So it's from that time when they are shooting, then the security come and save us. So because my friend is sitting next to me, so I'm just close to her. They shoot her in her stomach. Immediately she died.
Well, apologies. I thought I was going to see the National Assembly, but that was some survivors of the attack. And to this effect, a political party, the Young Progressive Party, YPP, was supposed to hold their National Working Committee meeting today, but they decided to cancel their NWDC meeting in solidarity with those families who lost their loved ones, as well as those that are still in the hospital.
Even before now, we have been lost in lives. But this is just something that happened in the recent day. And we think that as a government in waiting, because every political party, I don't want to speak for other parties, but I'm speaking for Nigeria, for YPP. We as a political party, we are a government in waiting. And everything we do here is like a message we're also sending outside there, because the people are watching. And so for that reason, I think that just in the honor of those who have lost their lives, I think that I am calling the attention of this gathering, this organ of the NWC, to look at this as a national thing that we all have to pay our sympathy to the souls of the
Hello, I am Yemi Adebayo. Federal government approves over 1 billion naira requests for lie detector night vision glasses for the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. For these and more, join us tonight. The news are at 8.
All right, yes, we have limited time. Let's quickly just quickly hear from our guest before we say our good night on the program. Dr. Sam Amadi, thank you so much, gentlemen, for remaining with us. Dr. Amadi, we just need you to advise the PDP. We have less than a minute to go. Advise them, now that they seem to be so much hula baloo on the issue of zoning, what do you think is the best bet for the party to do now?
The party started very late on the zoning issue. The kind of statistics that the opinion has brought out, the argument have offered, should have been something that they deliberate at a high level, neck level, for days, and come with policy, and then go about and walk around and talk to their members, and get everyone on the same page. The PDP must win the next election. They have to work very hard. They have to be united. So my view is this: if they can look, if they zone the presidency to southeast, like they say southeast, south, northeast, like they said, maybe the parties will have to agree that there is a real issue to address in this matter. And maybe they can build a consensus around that issue. But if they talk about north-south is too abstract and not real. They say that it doesn't connect well.
Okay.
So they might be injuring their prospects for 2023 if they build on north-south. So two options left. Courage to microzone, as I said, as an affirmative action, which even though it might look late, but doable and will be less acrimonious, which means you can convince many Northerners that this is a case of justice. Otherwise, open politics.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Pedro, what do you think should be done? Final word, 10 seconds.
It's been difficult for me to agree with anybody almost in total. Let me read out what I wrote on the comment on this Zoom to Sam. I said, I love this man. I respect you, sir. Truth is never convenient. You see, the inconvenient truth here is that the PDP, if they must zone, must microzone to the northeast. If they must zone, microzone to the southeast. Those are the only things that will make zoning make sense after Jonathan. Truth. Outside of that, throw it open. Okay. Let the best man win.
All right.
Because leaving it in the north, say the north, The North is one huge behemoth.
Thank you so much.
Fulani.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We had two doctors of law, Dr. Pedro Obaseki as well as Sam Amadi. Thank you both for your time and for your comment. That's how we say thank you for being a part of this program.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.